Did you see that about John Cleese?
He cancelled himself.
He cancelled himself. Now, I was a huge fan of John Cleese. I think he was a comedy genius. I went to see him live, and I was a little bit disappointed, but at least I saw him live. And I think because he's actually doing a documentary program about wokeness, that it's all about the advertising. Because he comes from he was at Cambridge. He'll go back and talk in 6 weeks' time. It's just a publicity stunt.
Well, they said the reason he cancelled himself was because they were going to cancel him. So he said, "I'll stop myself from going. You don't need to stop me."
No, they weren't going to cancel him. It was the guy did an impression of Hitler or talks about it. I think he did an impression. Why did I do that as an impression of Hitler? What does that mean? Yeah, no, I think the guy did an impression of Hitler, and he said, "I'm going to cancel my." John Cleese said, "I'm going to cancel myself because I did an impression of Hitler as Basil Fawlty." But he's also filming a woke documentary, so I don't go. He's very good at publicising himself. Is John Cleese?
I thought he got invited to, because it was like
the union.
I'm sure that I read it in the news, saying that he was invited and they're going to cancel him. I figured I'd say go back to I just want to say Jim Bowen then. Jim Bowen's dead, isn't he? So, and he was alright, actually.
Jim Bowen, even though he was part of the old comedians who go, I would say my mother-in-law, he was a funny man. He had lovely timing.
But he if I remember, he didn't tell anything that was controversial.
He was slightly family orientated, but live he was very blue. Like Bob Monkhouse was extremely blue live, but he was more blue in a sweary way rather than saying things that were a little bit too risque.
But like example, saying comedians should be allowed to say this is a social commentary. But going back to Jim Davidson, it's like, for me, that's not social commentary. But like you said, there are people out there with similar views who do see that as social commentary.
Wow.
So he's catering for that particular market, and you would say that's wrong, but they're not. That's free speech then. But I don't. But then once you break it, I don't know. It's
it is free. No, it is free speech. But I do think you have to be your own censor, and then you have to learn how to live with that as best you can. But you're right. It is free speech. But Jim Davidson shouldn't. There should be a. But is there a law? This is what always does my head in. There is a law. Is there not a law that you shouldn't, you can't, you mustn't? It's impossible. You shouldn't be racist. Is there a law on racism?
Yeah, there is. But then
where do you apply it with Jim Davidson?
Because he's telling jokes, isn't he? Because they're jokes. That's his argument, that these are jokes. I'm not inciting a hate crime against anyone.
But things have changed. This is the beauty of it, isn't it? We are evolving as a species and killing the planet at the same time. But we are evolving as a species, and we more people know what's right or what's wrong. Because I was going to say, I had a thought. I went to see Freddie Starr once, and my mum was horrified at this joke. She thought it was disgusting, but she wasn't concerned about the racism part of it. It was the sexual side of it that she didn't like. So it's an Irish joke during the bombings, right? So he said, did you hear about the Irishman who didn't know the difference between a letter bomb and a French letter? That's what it was. You know what a French letter is, do you? Of course you don't. It's old posh people speak for Johnny.
Like French?
I don't know. Right, so the joke was, did you hear about the Irishman who didn't know the difference between a French letter and a letter bomb? Blew his cock off. Right. Oh, that was it. It was the cock. It was the word cock my mum was objecting to. Well, you could pick that apart and find so many things wrong with that. But cock, I think, is the least offensive. Or am I wrong?
I think that your mum's generation, it wasn't a generation where they used to seeing or hearing about sex, were they? It was very hush hush, quiet. Yeah.
Wasn't in the room if you're in the room next to them.
Yeah. So to hear it out on the probably TV or a show or on
Yeah.
you can be like, yeah.
But I think that was the thing, because we saw him on TV and he was on ITV a lot, and he was, he wasn't rude on ITV. But I think she was. That's why we went. We went as a family. It was like a family trip to the Alexander Theatre in Birmingham. But I remember that joke, and I remember how upset she was about it.
I used to work at this place, and it's going back to over 20 years, over 20 years. And there was a few people working there, and they got so excited when Roy Chubby Brown was coming to town. Right. I remember the conversation. And I heard about him. I've never seen him, but I have heard his jokes. And I saying to her, why do you go? And I was just like, it came across as like, that was her humour. That's the kind of humour she likes.
Yeah.
Which makes me feel like, well, what point does your humour become your opinion?
Jesus Christ. This should be the
heavy,
philosophy hour. Oh, man. I love that as a question, but I don't even think I'm ready to... Ask me again.
So, at what point does humour become your opinion?
Fucking hell. I don't know how to deal with that, Ab. I can't see a way through. Because if she goes to see Chubby Brown and she enjoys the shit that he said, although I do want to go and see Chubby Brown because I don't understand exactly what's wrong with him, and we should come back to that, but I really want to get my head around opinion. At what point does humour become your opinion? No! Oh, I'm not sure. You can go home after a day at work and you could put the telly on and watch Coronation Street, which is completely not a true story, and it gives you something to enjoy, and you think, I'm enjoying that. So you can go watch a comedian and you say, I'm enjoying that, but it's something for me to unwind too. But if it plays to your prejudice and your opinions, you're going to enjoy it more. If you have a different look, so if your intelligence is that that's wrong, then you're not going to enjoy it. Have I answered the question? No.
No, it's one of these is that Roy Chubby Brown, it's only a certain section of the community enjoy his comedy, and when we talk about comedy, it's about relating. Sometimes your observation comedy is about relating how your material to people who are listening to it, and it's not. That's why you laugh sometimes. You think, that's true. That is.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, because it's like you push open doors.
So when you're Roy Chubby Brown or Jim Davidson and you're telling a racist joke or something that's deemed racist, some people don't like that. Some people are, that's that's true. He's that. He's saying that person is that. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so,
I think Roy Chubby Brown is a nicer person than Jim Davidson. I have no idea what I base that on. Apart from, I think Jim Davidson's a twat and a third. Yeah. No, but I worked with Keith Harris in Butlins years and years ago, and Roy Chubby Brown had released a song called Orville the Duck. Orville the Duck. And Keith Harris played it to us on a cassette tape. If those of you don't know what a cassette tape is, look it up. And me and Keith Harris, right, we're like this, best buds, were laughing at Roy Chubby Brown's bit. And Roy Chubby Brown is taking the piss out of Orville, saying, I wish I could fly right up to the sky, but I fucking can't. Right? And it was funny. It was funny. And Keith Harris is laughing. He said, I should sue him. But it would give him more publicity if I sued him.
He's called Teeth. Teeth Paris. I sit on his hand and he's got his fingers right up my fucking ass. Teeth said I farted yesterday. I said I didn't. He said you did.
I don't know what it says. I don't know what that says. But it's a funny song.
This is no slant on him. I just thought it'd be funny the way it happened like that. Saying, hey, these jokes about these Indians and black people, I ain't got a problem with that. But you can't say nothing about my green bird.
Yeah, you can't say nothing. But is I don't know if is Roy Chubby Brown racist. I think he's homophobic. But I don't know. I heard a story once, which I find hilarious, and apparently Roy Chubby Brown was playing in some form of church hall type situation. I don't know where it was, and I don't know if it's a made up story or it's true, but they had their video. This is how old this thing happened. They had a video recorder stolen from the church, and he comes in and he looks up and there's a cross with Jesus Christ struck out like that, and he goes, "Oh, I see you got the bugger who stole your video player." See, but I do think Royston and Vasey has very good timing, but I've never seen him live, and I would like to see him live, but I don't think I'd enjoy the audience.
I think
that's the thing.
Yeah, we just talked about it. We know the type of audience that go watch him.
Have you seen Paul Smith from the Hot Water?
Yes.
Is it Paul Smith?
Yeah.
I went to see him at the Palace Theatre, and they were a bad audience. They were nasty. They weren't pleasant people. I had to tell one of them to fucking shut up. And he was having a go at one of the usherettes as well. And I said, "Take it, don't do it here, mate." That was. But I don't know whether they just because they saw him on the YouTube or something. I don't know what it is. But they had no right to be in a comedy gig. They were just not.
Are you saying all the people that turned up were just...
No, in this row that I was sitting in, they were just pissed. Well, I think they got absolutely pissed as well. But they weren't the right people. They weren't the normal people that come to a gig at the Palace Theatre. But I think that's because Paul Smith is huge on YouTube or something. He's more of an internet success rather than a TV success. So I don't know. I don't know if that answers your problem with what's right and what's wrong, and where does humour become.
Or do we just say you can make fun of anything? It don't matter. There's no comebacks here.
Yeah, but then see, the beautiful thing about comedy is that you can take people down a path and then shock them, and it makes them laugh, and that's a good thing. But it depends where your shock and your hurt is. If you're shocking because it's part, if you weave a tapestry beautifully, at the end of the day, it's going to look perfect. But if you drop a stitch now and again, it's going to look shit. There you go. That's your answer.
Not quite sure what that means.
I'm saying if you're good at your craft, then you should be able to tell most jokes without upsetting your audience.
Well, I need to retire then.